my name is Jane Karina. I am a test analyst at Magnetism Solutions. Today we'll be looking at a new feature from 2023's first wave update for Microsoft platforms. Specifically, we'll be looking at a new and improved feature for chatbots and power-up virtual agents using multi-modal response authoring for natural experience. This allows for more realistic chatting and telephony experience with your customer, and it also allows more dynamic conversations with the chatbot retaining information your customer has mentioned before. To start, we need to go into Power Virtual Agents. You'd have to choose a chatbot that you have at the moment or make a new one. Here we can decide what trigger phrases we'd like to use for our topic. For example, if a customer says paint, then the chatbot will respond and start this topic. Or say if the customer says, I would like paint, or what paint do you have, any phrases will trigger this topic. We'll also go ahead and title this topic paint. Now, we can specify responses to this trigger using a message. Say we have paint. We can also add a variation to these responses, which are then chosen randomly. So for example, paint is we can sell you paint. These are then chosen randomly when the customer triggers this phrase. We can also ask the customer for answers to questions which our chatbot can then hold in its memory, called a variable. So if we were to ask it a question, so for example, what color paint do you want? We can give them multiple choice answers for them to choose from, or we can give them the option to do free-form text. So for example, I can just make it free-form text to be saved under the variable user paint. We can then use these variables to be set out in a message. So for example, we have the color paint in stock. And so it would use the user's written answer here to show that it's been saved in the bot. As noted in the Wave Updates preview page, by default, text responses are used, but speech responses can also be used in circumstances that use speech, such as during a telephone call. So we can add a speech variation. For example, we do have in stock. We can also use SSML tags, which stand for Speech Synthesis Markup Language. They use audio breaks, emphasis, and prosody. Audio means that you can just upload your own pre-recorded audio. So for example, if we want to put emphasis on in stock, we can create these tags and then just copy and paste it to be put in the tags. And that should be used for telephone calls. So from beginning to end, if we save this and test it out, we will create a conversation between us and our chatbot from end to end. So for example, if I say paint, it even recognizes typos. So I can say here red, and so it shows that it recognizes and then uses our answers as well. Say I choose a different trigger phrase, and so it has used a different message variation from here, but here, and it just uses it randomly. It has now recognized that we have answered it differently, and uses that variable. I hope this explains the basics on creating a chatbot with multimodal response authoring. It's very useful to create a dynamic flow with your customer and making sure that you can store variables that you can then use in text and speech messaging.